From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara to awakening your eyes with lift and color from the Brilliant Eye Brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is the go-to when you want to amplify your everyday look. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. And for every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help communities thrive. So every time you use your favorite Thrive Cosmetics product, you're helping communities you care about too. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast.
The Digest we continue all the way to episode 529 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. This isn't the first time I've been trapped in a collapsing universe, being stalked by some semi-visible unknown creature. Oh god, it isn't even the second. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we're doing with virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany Bengal.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hopefully everyone is doing okay. Happy June.
Yes. Yep.
As crazy as that is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, we don't really have much, if anything, in the way of news. It's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Which, all things considering, we'll take that.
Yes.
You know, it's you know, we got Phantom Christmas coming up, and then we have Disney Phantom Christmas coming up this summer. So there's that. And before you know it, it's going to be award season again. The Tonys are next week. So
wow. Rinse, slather, repeat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's pretty much how it rolls. So yeah, really all of our news is kind of housekeeping related.
Yeah.
So
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course, new month means book club update.
Yep. Well, and this month's book is going to be an audiobook, and yeah, it may sound a little familiar. I decided to choose Circular Time.
Yeah.
So
if you listen to last week's episode.
Yep. And it sparks your interest for feedback. Here you go. Now's your chance.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's a good audio. So hey.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I gotta complain. So there's that, and then for those who use Patreon, specifically for Gold Standard, I guess I can't say this month because it's now June. May's
last month
Patreon film review is in Patreon for those. And we talked about the 2004 Johnny Depp, Kate Winslet film Finding Neverland.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh.
That was made for a interesting discussion. Anytime that there's a film about a real life person, always sparks interesting discussion on accuracy and artistic licensing and the like with things. So
or dramatic license, however that's, or mix of both.
Yeah. So there is that, and that's really it, actually. Oh, because as we were talking before we started, the Russo brothers we're teasing something Avengers Doomsday related, but it is dropping tomorrow as we're recording this. June 2nd is tomorrow. So figures. So we'll be talking about that next week. But as soon as it drops on the interwebs, of course, we'll share it on the social medias. Yeah. It'll be kind of hard not to.
Yeah. Hopefully the internet doesn't go kablooey.
I mean, it might.
Yeah, it might, yeah. Depending on what gets released.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you know your comic book lore, there's no mistaking what it is they're teasing. Now, what the content will be, I don't know, but it's definitely something Doomsday related. So, we will be waiting. I think it's funny that the Russo brothers dropped that like on social media within like the last couple hours, and for tomorrow. Meanwhile, the rest of uh another part of aspect of the kind of House of Mouse fandom has been losing their collective minds for the last few weeks because Taylor Swift and Pixar have been teasing crabs. And of course all the Swifties are all like, what is it, what is it, what is it, what is it, what is it? And she find that both she and Disney / Pixar announced today that she has a song that is going to be in Toy Story 5. So, although a lot of the Swifties are also convinced that she's actually going to be in the movie, that she will be a toy. We'll see.
We'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
Because didn't she do a song for the movie The Giver and she wasn't the giver?
Oh, yeah. The gal is busy. She doesn't sleep. But yeah. So Taylor Swift, at least musically, is now part of the Toy Story universe, I guess. Oh, all right. Well, moving on to feedback. It's a feedback from Shalane. She says, hello, friends. We survived Memorial Day weekend and school is out. Well, it is for me. It almost is for Holly. First, going back to Roald Dahl books being turned into movies, yes, George Clooney was in Fantastic Mr. Fox along with Meryl Streep. Haha, my memory is not completely shot. And speaking of George Clooney and anniversary films, another movie I forgot to mention that's celebrating anniversary this year is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Which is really funny, considering our Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is kind of a version of the Odyssey, and we're getting a like more accurate version of the Odyssey. Thanks to Christopher Nolan. So it's like, do you want the actual Odyssey? Which I don't know what the runtime for this thing is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be obnoxiously long. So it's
Lord
like,
of the Rings level long, but maybe longer.
It's like, do you want like the actual Odyssey, or do you just want an idea taken from the Odyssey where George Clooney runs around in overalls?
Yeah.
in a prison jumpsuit and sings bluegrass.
Kind of a reader's condensed version of the story with a big twist.
Yes. So take your pick.
Yep.
Going back to James and the Giant Peach, where you girls posted a Peachy hint, I was actually thinking Super Round Galaxy because of Princess Peach. Haha. Also, if you girls heard, we're getting 3 Disney Renaissance Princesses actresses at FanX this fall: Jodie Benson, Paige O'Hara, and Linda Larkin. Very cool.
Nice.
I'm still waiting for someone from the original Lion King cast to come. My guess would be Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who voiced young Simba and was also in Home Improvement. Could be, maybe. Going back to K-pop Demon Hunters, they're inspired by different K-pop groups like Blackpink and BTS. Yep. It also got me thinking about other animated characters inspired by famous musicians. Powerline from a Goofy movie is inspired by Michael Jackson and Prince. Floor Town from Turning Red was inspired by groups like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Gazelle from Zootopia was inspired by Shakira, and she even voiced the character herself. Now onto The Secret of Nim, which we know on Gold Standard. This is your first Don Bluth movie. I think it was his first film before An American Tail. Yes, it was his first movie after leaving Disney.
Yeah.
If you want to do more Don Bluth movies, what about Thumbelina, The Pebble and the Penguin, Rock-a-Doodle? And if you want a happier Don Bluth movie that's less dark and traumatizing, I'd suggest Anastasia.
Bartok for the win.
Yes. Rock-a-Doodle, definitely not dark and traumatizing. So, at least from what I remember.
Yeah. Secret of Nine.
Yeah, like those are completely other
that was
opposite
nightmare
ends of the
fuel when
spectrum
I
there.
was growing up.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for yours to talk about Titan AE on this podcast, along with Fifth Element and Galaxy Quest. If you want to do a happier American Tail movie, do Fievel Goes West. If you want a happier dinosaur movie, do We're Back, a dinosaur story. Going back to The Secret of Nim, I think this is your first Will Wheaton movie. What's next? Stand By Me is having an anniversary year. It's also your third Dom DeLuise movie after Spaceballs and Fatso. What's next? Robin Hood Men in Tights, even though I know that's not Rachel's favorite Mel Brooks movie. It may not be my favorite, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't watch it and review it. I mean, a Mel Brooks movie, you kind of can't go wrong.
Exactly.
I first watched The Secret of Nim when I was in elementary school. I think it was on either Disney Channel or Cartoon Network. At first, I thought it was just a cute mouse movie like The Great Mouse Detective or The Rescuers or American Tail, but I remember being scared by the great owl, the cat, the rat fight. Like I've said before, kids' movies in the 80s were dark and terrifying until The Little Mermaid came along and started the Disney Renaissance. Even though The Little Mermaid, there's still parts that are dark. I mean, when Triton is destroying all of Ariel's stuff,
oh yeah,
then Ursula getting skewered by the ship. It's a little dark too. Also, The Secret of Nim is Zan's third animated movie pick after The Adventures of Prince Ahmed and Sleeping Beauty. I wonder what animated movie she'll pick next. Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. I think this is your 8th animated movie you've discussed after Snow White, The Chipmunk Adventure, Beauty and the Beast, Encanto, Adventures of Prince Ahmed, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Sleeping Beauty. Let me just see what animated movies Rachel, Chrissy, or Zan choose next. I'm sure there will be more Disney, Pixar, and Studio Ghibli movies eventually. Yeah, you would be right. I also realized that one of the actors in The Secret of Nim was in Disney movies like Mary Poppins and the Aristocats. Yep. Mr. Girl switched on to Thursday once a month for your Patreon episodes instead of Sundays, and now you're back to Sundays. It depends. You know, things happen. So scheduling things occur sometimes if we're having a guest. It depends on when they're available. So we try to stay as consistent as possible with both shows, but life happens. I was right that Finding Neverland would be your next Kate Winslet movie. What's next? The Holiday? I mean, as far as Kate Winslet movies, possibly. I don't think that would something we would do until closer to Christmas. This is also your first Johnny Depp movie. Possible future movies: Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, Sweetie Todd. Now on to Tom Kane. I've seen him in the Powerpuff Girls, the Wild Thornberrys, the Smurfs, Star Wars, Clone Wars, and I also heard him in commercials and movie trailers. I'll be patient when you girls eventually talk about the Powerpuff Girls and the Wild Thornberrys. Another TV show I forgot Tom Kane was in is Kim Possible. How do I know about animators working from studio to studio? I do tons of research and listen to different podcasts. And you have a very good memory. Too, because I too do lots of research and listen to lots of podcasts and audiobooks and stuff, but the stuff does not stick in my brain necessarily, at least the way I'd like it to. But that is my issue. No one else's. But thank you, Shalane, for your feedback as always. So
choose life. Choose a student loan. Choose sickly looking indie kids for friends. Choose 2 to a room in a basement flat with wood chip on the wall. Choose a personal tutor called Hi There, I'm Mike, who had a cider and black at a Pink Floyd happening nearly 30 years ago and still thinks he's cool. Choose textbooks that no one's ever really read, full of words that no one's ever really said. Choose staring at your shoes through another unlistenable, slow dive Spitfire menswear gig and realising this is pants. Choose not to choose that. Choose to stay behind in Stockbridge. Choose living with Sandra and Les upstairs at the back of the Red Fern Inn. Choose The Next Generation on VHS over and over and over again. Choose to hang out with Mad Max, the local UFO nut, who reckons one day, long ago, he met an alien. Choose meeting the alien. Choose going with the alien in his time and space machine, which might not have a holodeck, but beggars can't be choosers, right? Choose adventures in the 4th and 5th dimensions, and sometimes even the 6th, with vampire monkeys and psychic weasels, and Lord alone knows what. My name's Izzy, and I chose the Doctor.
Moving on to this week's main topic because we like to clump birthdays together. Like we did that on purpose. We made everybody move their birthday around. No, just kidding. Chrissy had a birthday, so she did her Big Finish pick. Brittany's got a birthday coming up. Actually, we have a birthday coming up, but
that too. Yep.
we don't necessarily do a Big Finish audio for that.
No. So if we wanted to set a precedent, we could.
We could just throw a bunch on a virtual wheel and let it pick. If we really wanted to.
Yep.
We definitely have enough that we can add another Big Finish to our viewing schedule.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, for the most part, we've only done, with a couple of exceptions, we've only done, I believe, mainline.
I think so, yeah.
Audios.
We might have done one if Dr. Paul McGann Adventure 2 part of it. That was my birthday pick.
Right. For the most part,
the
majority we have done pretty much mainline. We've done a Lost Stories, we've done a 6 Doctor Adventures, and we've done an 8th Doctor Adventure.
Right. We haven't branched off into Torchwood or Sarah Jane Adventures.
And even mainline, we're doing, so far, most of the ones we've done are the ones that they've made either
available
completely free on Spotify or very, very cheap on the website.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's
or at least, or they're available on Audible if you get Audible credits.
Yes.
or if your library is, forward thinking, like, hey, let's add Doctor Who to the collection, and they get some Big Finish.
So for we're sticking with the main line, monthly adventures. This is number 123. It's 8th Doctor. It's another anthology. This was their 4th attempt at doing an anthology. But this one's done differently than Circular Time. And so this is 8. These are 4 8th Doctor stories told from the perspective of the companion, and each story has like a little introduction and then outro at the end from said companion. Which I think is kind of cool. I think it's a different way of doing it, but I think in this case it works. I think it makes for an interesting way of telling these stories. So
especially if I remember reading right, most of these already had technically adventures, but they were like in the novels, right?
I think so.
It's because you've got,
because I think Fitz was a double crossover, because I think Fitz started out as book and then jumped to some audio. I'm not 100% sure.
Bernice Summerfield, she's an original Big Finish companion. Fitz is a let's see here. First appearance was in the Taints. So at least as far as Big Finish is concerned.
Yeah, he started out in books and then jumped, I think, to Big Finish.
And then I believe Izzy is a comic book companion.
Yes.
And then obviously Mary Shelley is an actual person. It's like one of these companions is not like the other.
Yes.
Right.
Cue the Sesame Street music.
Kind of, yeah. One of them kind of happens to be an actual person and actually has encountered several incarnations of the Doctor. But the timeline of Mary Shelley's experiences with the versions of the Doctor is very wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Yes. To put it mildly.
And who knows, maybe alternate universe, depending on which Doctor we are dealing with. Who knows?
Yeah, because we could talk about Mary Shelley when we get to that particular story.
Yep.
So yeah, but the first story is with Bernie Summerfield, Benny, and she and the doctor. She does not travel with the doctor anymore. She is doing her own thing as a archaeologist, kind of. The doctor and archaeologist. He says he doesn't like him yet. He keeps becoming friends and marrying one.
Doctor, you got a type, even though you don't want to admit you have a type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Bernice actually has met the doctor in more than one incarnation. She's met the seventh Doctor as well. So, but this is actually more really a Bernie Summerfield story, and the eighth Doctor makes an appearance. So, but she's on this supposed archaeological dig. She's been hired, kind of as a private contractor, and even though she doesn't even really know what she's digging for, but hey, I guess it's a check cleared. And she's got a son back home, so she does have a mouth to feed. So get your bag, Benny. And it turns out that this Van Hella is a little cuckoo. Apparently she is a member of a community of conspiracy theorists, I guess.
Like best word for that, I guess.
I guess that know of the Time Lords. They know of the idea of the TARDIS, and for whatever reason they are convinced that the what would TARDISes that what we're going to use for the plural for more than one TARDIS. TARDISi.
TARDISi.
TARDISes.
Yeah.
Are essentially being it's a form of slavery, was the impression that I was getting, that she was trying to imply, that the Time Lords had enslaved these TARDISes and were forcing them to do their bidding, which obviously shows that she does not know the first thing about the Doctor's relationship with their TARDIS, because all you gotta do is see the Doctor's wife and know that the TARDIS does exactly what the TARDIS wants.
Exactly.
The Doctor can control and beg and plead however much he wants to his TARDIS. TARDIS sexy is doing whatever the heck she wants.
Exactly.
And he's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but she ends up getting her hands on a key. Actually, it is the Doctor's key, because there's this whole timey-wimey thing where he and Bernie end up going back in time. He drops his key, and then it gets found by the archaeological crew millions of years in the future. And starts manipulating things to try to sever the tie between the Doctor and the TARDIS, and it creates starts affecting other universes and stuff, and there's a time bubble, and there's a lion that apparently is green with a blue mane for reasons. and people get destroyed in the process, but Van Hella learns that she was very, very wrong about the entire thing, and as a consequence, she gets left behind while the Doctor and Bernie take off. So, I mean, all things considered, I mean, this is kind of a very kind of contained story. I mean, when you got 4 individual stories, they're on the shorter side. There's like 25-ish, 30 minutes long a piece. So you don't have a lot of time to get really into the weeds in things, but the fact that the idea that there are people out there in the universe that are aware of the Time Lords, are aware of Gallifrey, aware of the idea of the TARDIS and what it is and what they do, and think that in this case that this group or whatever of like-minded people that Van Hella is part of, that learn about a culture completely different from theirs and decide that that's wrong and it needs to change and it needs to be fixed, and they're the ones responsible for it to do the fixing, is not that far out of the realm of real life. When you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we've kind of been doing that as a human race with various groups and stuff, where people just show up and be like, we don't like the way that your society is run, so we're going to change it completely, even though it's been working for you for hundreds if not thousands of years. Not understanding like the nuance and not actually getting into it and seeing how things actually function. I mean, the Doctor in this, when he's trying to explain that the relationship between a Time Lord and their TARDIS is very personal between those two entities. It's a very intimate relationship, and he's not wrong. I mean, he's absolutely not wrong. It's absolutely, obviously what we've seen of other Time Lords and their TARDIS, some maybe don't see their TARDIS as, the same way that the Doctor does. I mean, we've seen like the inside of like the Ronnie. The Ronnie treats hers very much, like it's a moving lab that she can take wherever she wants to do her science and various things. Obviously, the Master has got their TARDIS and uses it for nefarious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we've got, from what we have learned about Time Lord society is, a Doctor and their TARDIS is kind of a, once they take one on, it's kind of theirs. It's kind of like, it's kind of like taking adopting a pet or something. It's like you've agreed to take this on and have this relationship with this living thing, because the TARDISes are alive and somewhat sentient, and the TARDIS, I think, is and how the TARDIS acts, I think, is a reflection also of the Time Lord that they're in a relationship with, because like the Doctor said, it is intimate, and it's intimate on a physical and mental level. The Doctor, as we've seen, has a psychic connection with the TARDIS, but it's also physical, as well, as we learn with in the two Doctors, with the Sontarans trying to figure out how to duplicate the technology, and the Doctor teaches Perry that symbiosis is part of how the TARDIS functions. But this was fun because the Doctor was just kind of, the Doctor does do some things, but they really are kind of playing second fiddle to Bernice in this one. Oh, but this one was fun. So I think as far as doing an anthology, starting off with something a bit more on the fun side is probably a good way. Don't start out things too seriously. Although Fitz's story is not that serious either, but that's also because Fitz is not a very serious person.
No, he's not.
Fitz Kreiner, he's from London. He is from the 20th century, so he's a fairly modern character. he and the doctor are investigating this company called Alien Defense Incorporated, which are trying to pitch themselves as the security and defense for this planet and Tuso, which apparently is much like Earth and gets attacked every other Tuesday. And of course the doctor can't be there to protect them. So this company is trying to become like the defense contractor, I guess, for this planet. And but in the process, they want to use the doctor's likeness as kind of a spokesperson. And it turns out that they're actually not that capable, as it were, because they end up getting attacked by what was the guy's name?
I don't remember.
The guy, he's supposed to be like the janitor, but he's actually like, the bad guy in disguise. What was it?
Gaston.
Yes, Gaston. And there's like these vermin queens, so which are they mice? Not entirely sure. I haven't listened to Fitz's story or anything. I haven't dug into any of the background with that if there's anything there. But anyway, yeah, it turns out that they were already being infiltrated from the inside by a guy who's pretending to be the janitor. I love the way they went about it though, because the doctor ends up getting captured because they were expecting him to show up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So they're prepared to capture him, but because he and Fitz separated, he gave Fitz very specific orders. If I'm not back by a certain time, this is what you need to do. And what Fitz ultimately does is he goes on television, because apparently that's all these people on this planet do is watch television. I guess it's much easier than going outside your house and risk getting killed when the next invasion happens.
Yeah.
But I love how Fitz goes on the TV and just like us as outsiders, we know he's absolutely lying through his teeth, but he's so convinced and he's like, no, the doctor's actually just a normal person. I'm actually the brains behind everything. And then like the gal is interviewing him. It's like, well, what about this footage here where, it looks like you're running away? He's like, no, I was distracting them so that it took their attention away from what, and he doesn't call the doctor. He's like, oh, his name's actually John Smith. He's like, no, I was distracting their attention so John Smith could help do his part of my plan. Totally undermines like the legend that this planet has created of the doctor. It's like someone coming in and saying like, oh no, Superman, it's all fake. It's actually me. And it totally works. It's totally hilarious. So, and in the process, it ends up getting Fitz a job as the spokesperson for because in the process they capture Gaston, who actually is an alien, and then ADI is like, look, we actually caught one, even though they didn't do diddly squat. It was the doctor and Fitz, but the doctor's like, whatever, good for you, pat him on the head, like, good job. It's like patting your cat on the head, good job, you caught the red dot. And, they're like, oh, Fitz, you can be the spokesperson now because people think that you're, the big hero and everything. And Fitz is all for it because it means he gets girls. Because ultimately, that is what Fitz's goal is, to chase after birds. And I don't mean birds, I mean as in the British term for chicks, ladies. women. Fitz needs a date and he needs it yesterday. And if this gets him a date, all the better. So it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It's quite funny, actually. So, and, I mean his the guy that voices, who's doing the, plays Fitz, Matthew D'Angelo. He is hilarious.
Yes.
He's absolutely hilarious. So
Funny, I read a fact that apparently Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, was considered a role, but he was considered too young. This was like a couple of months before he became the 11th Doctor.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
That's hilarious. I mean, they did, yeah. I mean, there's some people that appeared in Big Finish and ended up on Doctor Who. David Tennant did the same thing. So, but yeah, I mean, Fitz as a character is in a lot of expanded universe, but this is like his only like main audio appearance. Pretty much everything else is print. So I mean, it's pretty much with only the Eighth Doctor, but it's pretty much in print. So you can, if you want to go and there's short trips. He's in a Iris Wildtime omnibus, so Virgin New Adventures. So there's a lot of just stuff that's been published by BBC Books. So, but at least now we have this one audio, so when you're reading the books, you have an idea of what he sounds like, which is kind of fun. So yeah, this was a fun one as well. So not too serious, just a fun little romp. And again, it's allowing the companions to really shine. Instead of it being just, I'm the Doctor's companion. It's like, no, I mean, the fact that each one is called, companion names story, that it's kind of literal. Instead of giving them sort of, some sort of like, name that maybe implies what the plot is about or something. It's just Betty's story, Fitz's story, Izzy's story, Mary's story, because that's what it is. It is their story to tell about this particular adventure they were part of with the Doctor. So Izzy, like I said, she comes from actually the comic books, I believe. And her name is Izzy Sinclair. And she is, if she was a real life person, she would fit in well with us.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that was until like,
yeah. She is a nerd among nerds. She is a fangirl. And she loves both stuff that exists in their universe and stuff outside. Like, she loves Star Trek, which I think is funny because she mentions that she, as cool as the TARDIS is, there is no holodeck, which means as far as Izzy is concerned, Star Trek exists. However, in the Doctor Who universe, the Enterprise does exist. The Doctor has had experiences with the crew of the USS Enterprise. So, but so yeah, Izzy she was an orphan, and then she got adopted, and she met the Doctor when she was 17. She's a huge sci-fi fan and an amateur paranormal investigator. And so, meeting the Doctor essentially was taking all of the things that she is a fan of and happening to allows her to happen in real life. funnily enough, she meets a doctor because of the celestial toy maker. Imagine that. So, but yeah, you have to go to the comics for that. You want to start with Endgame. That's an appropriate. That's a name. Um so, but yeah, she loves comic books, she loves video games. So in this particular story, there is a comic book series that she's a huge fan of. She's read every copy, every issue that's come out until the last one, which she's never been able to get her hands on. So, it's this comic series called Argatron.
Okay.
I think that's how.
Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. So she's like, oh, well, we got a time machine. Let's just go back to the day that comic was released. Yeah, new comic book day. And she's like, well, just buy a copy. And so he takes her to a comic book shop, and they try to buy the copy. The guy at the comic shop is just a crusty old fart and was all like, no, that one's on hold for somebody. She's like, but we're here to pick it up for them. She's like, okay, well, you still got to pay for it. And of course, the doctor does not have any appropriate money. This is the second week in a row where we've done a Big Finish audio where part of the story is the doctor does not have the correct money in his pockets.
You think by now he would learn to like have at least a bit of every kind of money there's. Think,
considering the pockets are bigger on the inside, yes, it's not like he's going to weigh him down. But they get the hands of the comic. She because the whole thing is there's this character called Courtmaster Cruel, which is really a play on Judge Dredd. It's a pastiche on Judge Dredd. And he's got a disguise, so nobody's actually ever seen his face. And this final issue of this comic was the issue where his secret identity was finally going to be revealed to everybody. And now she's got her hands on the comic, and she's reading it, and she's getting to the page where it's the big reveal, and the comic explodes in her face essentially. These suits, like the Men in Black, show up like, ma'am, step away from the comic, it's for your own good. And she's like, I just want to know the big reveal. And they're like, ma'am. And she ends up getting her mind wiped, which she does not care for, which who would? And
right.
So she's like, well, and the doctor is all like, well, that's really weird, because of course them doing a mind wipe does not work on the doctor, of course. And the doctor's like, okay, well, I don't really care so much about like the big plot reveal in the comic book, but this whole Men in Black mind wipe thing is a little weird. So he's like, okay, well, here's the comic's got the address of the publisher. We'll go there and see if we can find out what's happening. So they go to the publisher, and it's a bunch of aliens working in like this this office space, presumably filled with like smoke and smog. And apparently they're just getting worked at, like, to the point of collapsing. And they show up, and the guy in charge was all like, like, you don't belong here. First he thinks that the doctor is their new like supervisor, because I guess the company got bought. And he thinks that like the new supervisor guy in charge is going to show up and do like an inspection or whatever. And then he realizes that's not what's happening, so he throws them in a like coat closet. And then when they come back out, the office is completely changed. And now it's an office space, people creating product for girls, which is not in a wink to the big plot twist for our big comic book reveal. And eventually they find out that the comic book was actually the characters in the comics actually exist in real life, and they're the ones writing the comics. And Courtmaster Cruel has been because the comics come from the 51st century, and I guess society's just absolutely collapsed. So this Courtmaster Cruel appears to be a vigilante to try and stop crime and everything, very much like Judge Dredd and a lot of other vigilante type comic book characters. But as things go, because the actual people are writing the comics, a secret identity reveal is kind of par for the course. But he doesn't want his secret identity revealed and reveal the truth, because then that he thinks that'll take away the credibility of the work that he's doing in actual real life as the vigilante. And we find out that at least in real life, Courtmaster Cruel is a guy named Derek, who's kind of a nerd himself.
Which is so cool.
Which it is. It's funny. It's like he's like, this guy. You kind of imagine he's probably like your stereotypical nerd. That they give some description of him. But you imagine that he probably has like pimply skin and greasy hair and just your stereotypical nerd. Which if you know Judge Dredd, you know that's not Judge Dredd is the opposite side of that. Big, muscly, very strong, very commanding. And then you've got Derek. But the big twist is, because we're talking about something comic book related, there's another twist on top of the twist. And in the comics, in that issue that Izzy has been trying to get her hands on, she finally does. It does not explode in her face. So she finally gets to read it. And in the comics, it turns out that Courtmaster Cruel is a girl. And Izzy thinks that that's the worst ever. Which, Izzy, really? Come on, girl.
Right?
You should be glad. I mean, that's,
Women power!
I know. Although I think, in a way, this might also be a nod and a wink to, oh crap, I just lost the name. What was that video game? Oh, it was a video game from like the 80s, early 90s. And got to eventually you play this character that's like in a suit of armor, whatever. It's very like beat up the bad guys and shoot. It's kind of spacey themed. But it turns out no, but it turns out that the character you've been playing this entire time is actually a girl.
Is it Metroid?
Oh, okay. No, I don't think so, but I think yes. Yeah. So, which, that had that had an impact on the community. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this character's been a girl the entire time."
No.
I think maybe that's also that kind of nod and a wink to that Izzy's reaction is kind of paralleling the reaction that has occurred kind of throughout history, where there's an IP or a character or something that people have known and loved, and at some point there's a plot twist and it turns out that they're not anything like what you thought they were. Sometimes it's not necessarily the gender thing. Sometimes it's just like Iron Man 2. The Mandarin. You thought he was this awful or Iron Man 3, whatever Iron Man it was. start to blend together after a while. Whatever one the Mandarin was in, that you thought he was this like so just evil, commanding like terrorist, and it's Trevor Slattery. So it's just from my humble opinion, I understand, kind of winking and nudge that like, hey, this actually happens a lot in popular culture. But I think with Izzy in this case, it's like, oh, come on, she's such a fangirl. You would think that the fact that this badass character turns out to be a girl, she would be like, that's awesome. Anyway, it was a bit of a letdown there at the end. But I did like all the comic book references, as much as you can with audio. Obviously, comic books is a very visual thing, but yeah, Courtmaster Cruel is an homage to Judge Dredd. There is a couple of nods to some other comic book characters that I'm not that familiar with, so it's like I don't understand. I do not understand that reference. But good for you, whoever wrote this in your comic book knowledge. Good job. Alan Barnes, that's who wrote that one. So then we get to Mary's story with our companion from real life, Mary Shelley. So this is from Mary's perspective, this is her first time meeting the Doctor. Now we know that from the Doctor's perspective, the Doctor has met Mary Shelley quite a bit. So quite a few times. And her name has been dropped too a lot, even if she doesn't necessarily appear. Her name has been dropped a lot. But yeah, she's been in the comics. She's in a novel, obviously. She's in a couple of a handful of audios. Again, she gets name dropped in Storm Warning, which we've covered. She's been in a television with the 12th Doctor, so which makes you wonder the wibbly wobbly timey wimey, because the episode with the 12th Doctor is also supposed to be a potential story that gave Mary the idea to write Frankenstein. So again, continuity when it comes to Mary Shelley, because this takes place. This is the very if you know. Even if you've never read Frankenstein, if you're a fan of literature of the time period or of Mary Shelley or whatever of this time period, a lot of people I think know at least the gist of the story, that at one point Mary Shelley, along with her husband and some friends, including Lord Byron, among others, and her sister, go off to like the country to get away from the city, and the weather takes a turn, so they're stuck inside, and they are passing the time by telling stories to each other. And at one point they decide that they should go off in their separate ways and write the scariest ghost story they can think of. And so they do, and then they come back, and Mary has written this story called Frankenstein, a Modern Prometheus. And she is considered by most people kind of the godmother of science fiction, at least as far as literature is concerned. It also kind of depends on what you use to define science fiction. There are actually women who wrote stories way before her that maybe nowadays we might not consider science fiction, but at the time, not that they really had the term science fiction then, but was considered more fantastical as far as fiction was concerned. They weren't fairy tales, they weren't they weren't it wasn't historical fiction, retelling history or anything. It was very much this kind of speculative for future thinking type fiction. So, but obviously Frankenstein is very well known, and her story is well known, both her relationship with her husband and her friendships with Lord Byron. Supposedly she lost her virginity on her mother's grave. So yeah, at the very least, she's the godmother of goth. But in this case, just as they're getting ready to go off and write their stories, person shows up at the doorstep and they are badly injured and speaking nonsense, and it turns out that it is the Eighth Doctor, but we're not entirely sure where, as far as in the timeline. But this this doctor at this particular point in the timeline is so injured that it seems like they're gonna die. And they do actually, without regenerating, which if you think about that too long, you might. Probably because that doctor actually wasn't actually dead as far as Time Lords are concerned, because Two Hearts, it's probably, it's not like Wesley in The Princess Bride. He's just mostly dead.
Right.
So, they get not everybody's on board with the idea, but, in this case, the Percy, but her husband thinks that they should do an experiment and see if they can bring him to life.
As
By
you
having
do.
with electricity, like you do, and it's very much the Frankenstein story with the lightning and everything. And at one point, Percy is going, "He's alive! He's alive!" And the person, the doctor, comes, quote, back to life, but then takes off into the forest. Mary finds him, finds the TARDIS, and he is coherent enough to explain he's a doctor, and his TARDIS has been contaminated, and so the TARDIS brought him there knowing that he can be revived by lightning. But the TARDIS is so infected that at this point the TARDIS can't do much of anything, so he sends out a distress signal. Of course, the distress signal is going to go to himself, because who else is going to be in the area and be listening to that particular frequency or whatever. So it's a earlier version of the Eighth Doctor, and with Mary's help, they end up regenerating the TARDIS so that the doctor, the damaged doctor, and the TARDIS can fully heal again, with that symbiotic relationship between a Time Lord and their TARDIS. And the doctor that was not damaged or harmed asks Mary to come with him as his companion, and she's like, absolutely. She's like, well, the dead version of you said I was going to anyway. So she, at this point, she's like, I'm not, my marriage sucks. My husband's sleeping with my sister and or stepsister. And she's actually pregnant with his baby, but she's actually in love with Lord Byron, but Byron doesn't want, is like not interested. This whole thing. So yeah, so Mary Shelley's gonna go off and be a companion of the Doctor for a little bit. And she appears at the moment 1, 2, 3, 4 audios. It looks like, and whether those are full-on stories or more anthologies, you would have to go and look. Obviously in this, The Silver Turk, The Witch from the Well, An Army of Death. There's a BBC new series novel called The Big Bang Generation. There is the comic The Creative Spark, and then of course the 12th Doctor television story, The Haunting of Villa Diodati, something like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's Italian. It's
Yep.
like Geneva, so sorry, Nick. Diodate. Yep. So this was fun. You know, it's definitely the most serious out of the three, or out of the four, because you do have, with like, where in the hell did the Eighth Doctor get that, injured?
Mm-hmm. And kind of hiding it too, not really. Oh, hey, this happened.
Yeah. Well, and I believe it's in this audio that the Doctor says something at one point about, and I think it's the injured Doctor, because he's just kind of rambling. One of the doctors at one point says something about how maybe he should just go home.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we know that he's going to actually do that at some point inadvertently, because he's gonna get sucked into the time war. At this point, he's trying to avoid it. But eventually he is going to get sucked into it, and cause him. He is going to get injured to the point where he does regenerate. We have that story. We got it for the 50th, so we get Paul McGann's Doctor regeneration into John Hurt's Doctor. But this is one of those times where because the Doctor's had a lot of companions, but I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure majority, if not most of them, are characters created for Doctor Who. But every so often the Doctor will get a companion, an actual companion that goes with them from outside of one story, that is a real person. And that makes things quite interesting. Obviously the Doctor's encountered a lot of famous people, but those tend to be one-offs, kind of. Sometimes the Doctor encounters them more than once, and depending on where they are as far as the timeline, they've pissed them off and they don't know why yet. Look at you, Elizabeth I. Kiss and run, Doctor. Kiss and run.
Well, it didn't help matters any too about the Zygons.
Well, that's true. So that is true. That and again, the Time War. It was a big deal. Not that the Doctor would have known that, because it was out of order for the 10th Doctor. So, but yeah, this was quite fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is a good way to tie up that the name drop in Storm Warning. Because I mean, we've had the Doctor name drop a lot of famous people. So I mean, even in the audio that we did, that Chrissy picked, the Doctor name drops Houdini, and the Doctor has name dropped Houdini a few times. Within the Doctor Who universe. So at some point,
right. We gotta be Houdini.
Whenever Doctor Who comes back, we kind of need to get that Houdini episode. So it's like, we got a lot of royalty. We've had Charles Dickens. Now we've got Mary Shelley. I mean, we've got all sorts of. We've had the Beatles.
Didn't we have something with Tesla?
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, we've had Nikola Tesla. So
I mean,
we're
slowly checking him off.
Yeah, I'm just names that have been dropped by the Doctor that we've not seen yet. Houdini is kind of up there, I think. So
I mean, we get the one vague reference for Marilyn Monroe too.
Yeah,
as well.
That's true too. That is true too. So yeah, all sorts of all sorts of ideas, which is why Big Finish has the Doctor Who license for as long as it does.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the BBC might not be in a hurry to make more television episodes, but damn it, Big Finish is ready to go.
Yep.
Or at least they've got the legal rights to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this was a fun pick,
Fun
Brittany.
round.
Yeah. I
And
had
all
fun.
of
I'm
them
glad
were
I picked
good.
it.
I mean, I had a couple of favorites, but then when the next one came, like, oh, that one's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it made me curious of going to like find like the books and the comics to like
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
learn more about them.
Yeah. And again, it's nice that we got
In the name of the
with
doctor.
that they were able to throw in some Big Finish names in there to be like, yes, this is canon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case you forgot
Yes.
you didn't know this was a thing, it is canon. So, and I know some people are all like, oh, the Doctor Who expanded universe with the comics and the books, and the Big Finish is like, how do you keep track? And it's like, well, I mean, in general, you you can kind of just jump in, especially a Big
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Finish.
Yeah. Because
I
most
mean,
of those
and
are
ones like this,
standalone, or
you
they'll
kind of
warn
can,
you. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Big Finish website is, they're good. They're only going to tell you so much because obviously they don't want to spoil anything.
Right. TARDIS Wiki, that's
Yes,
you'll head
yeah,
into spoiler territory, excuse me.
yeah. Well, the TARDIS wiki,
Some, depending.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of them where the plot has not been filled out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which can
you're
be a
okay.
blessing and a curse.
Right.
Depending.
But it also, a lot of those entries also have links to other, not just the Big Finish website, but the discontinuity website,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
discontinuity guide does get more spoilery, but it can help you connect some of those dots.
Mm-hmm.
So the TARDIS wiki is good to see. Like, if you listen to this, something like this, an anthology, actually I think is a good way
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
introduce, because you're introduced to 4 companions, and if you're like, oh, I like this person, I like this particular companion, I want to know more about them,
You can
with the
click right on
TARDIS
the hyperlink.
wiki you can find the page for that character. So like if you go to the wiki page for Bernie Summerfield, it's going to give you a bio, as far as the character is concerned. But most of the characters, well, they have a link that you can click that'll take you to all their appearances within the Doctor
Mm-hmm.
Who universe. For Bernice, it's a lot of there's a lot of novels, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Big Finish,
Yep.
novellas, but they're all there listed. It gives you the title, it gives you
Mm-hmm.
what it is, it gives you who wrote it, it gives you the publishing date. So if you're like, I want more Bernie Summerfield, there you go. And then if you're concerned about continuity or anything like that, I mean, in theory, if you go oldest to newest, in theory it should keep you from getting too confused as far as like timeline is concerned. But again, this is Doctor Who,
Yeah.
Wibbly
and
wobbly, timey wimey.
Timey-wimey.
it could be timey-wimey. So it's just that's not a Big Finish thing, that's just a Doctor Who thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all you can kind of, when in doubt, ask a fellow Whovian.
Yeah.
Especially ones with experience with the expanded universe. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to sit there and read the wiki is usually the in timeline order as far as like the person's life And they will have links to the different media, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic book, whether it's a Big Finish audio.
Yeah.
So if you're really concerned and you want to stay, in proper order as far as the person's life is concerned, the TARDIS wiki is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot there, but the discontinuity guide is more for, they will give you sometimes they'll give you some good quotes. They'll give you where things intersect as far as other things within the universe. It will give you some continuity, at least as far as that story is concerned and how it fits into the bigger continuity. And if there is another piece of media, they will have it linked if they can. The website isn't like as flashy as the TARDIS wiki, but it gets the job done. So don't let the look of the discontinuity guide website scare you or turn you away. So because it actually is a very good resource for these sorts of things. I'm always referencing those two whenever we do a Big Finish audio, even if it's an audio I know well.
Mm-hmm.
just because I can't rely on my own memory, as we've already discovered and discussed. But yeah, thanks, Brittany. That was a good option. Good pick. So.
Yes.
Well, yeah, anything else want to mention? I mean, it's Big Finish. I mean,
me too.
Yes.
Yeah. They're gonna keep getting my money.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even for some of the ones that are available for free, it's like, yeah, it's kind of nice to be able to go to the Big Finish app and know that it'll play in the right order. Sometimes the ones on Spotify can get out of order on the playlist and you're confused about what's going on. Like, wait, did I miss something? And then you're like, oh no, I'm on the wrong section. Because the ones on, at least the ones that I've seen either officially or unofficially on Spotify, because there are some people out there with some Spotify playlists that aren't officially from Big Finish, but they tend to break them up into smaller chunks, and that's where you can come across playlists where stuff is out of order. So I do like being able to just buy the download and have it go to the Big Finish app and know that it's going to be in the right,
in the proper order. Yeah,
one file, and it's all right there in the right order. So
yep,
and it's like, I don't mind giving Big Finish my money. They absolutely do deserve it for what we get in return. And especially for these older audios where, depending on the exchange rate, this is number 123, and I think I paid $6 for it, I think.
Which isn't bad. That's the price of a small Starbucks coffee.
Yeah. So, and the Big Finish audio will last in my brain, hopefully a lot longer than the sugar-filled latte that I get from Starbucks that sits on my hips. So,
and it free refill. Technically, I guess.
Yeah, like I can re-listen to the audio. It doesn't cost me anything.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. Well, if any of our listeners want to give your 2 cents on these, either these particular audios or these companions, you can always send us an email. Our email address is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is the fivishfangirls.com, where you can find links to all of our podcast-related social media accounts and our individual ones as well, along with links to Patreon and other ways you can financially support us if you are so inclined. And also things like the Book Club, where every month on Goodreads, we have an open discussion about either something in the Doctor Who expanded universe. It's either a book, usually, or Big Finish Audio, because those are the easiest to get your hands on for the most part. Comics are a little harder. So yeah, those discussions are there in Goodreads. Link to that is on our website. So back-to-back Big Finish episodes. It's only appropriate considering our birthday is coming up and Doctor Who is where it all started for us. So
exactly.
And now we need to think about how we're going to celebrate our birthday.
Yeah.
I have some ideas.
Bit of time. Oh, good. We have a teeny bit of time, but clock's ticking, and it's going to get here sooner than we know it.
That's true, but 8 hours of my day is not being taken up by work. So
yeah,
that's always helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I got some ideas. So
yay!
Wait, well, we can talk about that in the chats and stuff. So
sounds good.
But for that, we are going to sign off for this week.
This is Brittany Bangle saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now we need is a mob of villagers and some flaming torches. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.